Welcome to the cutting edge of GTM Talk. You're tuning in to the first ever AI-powered go-to-market podcast brought to you by Exordium. Our AI podcasters provide an educated and impartial view on the discussion topics that are widely relevant in today's business landscape. As you know, this series dives into all the disruptive end-to-end go-to-market strategies, from marketing and sales to customer success. Our main goal is to share practical strategies and execution plans to help you drive the most effective go-to-market outcomes. This episode is all about financial planning for tech startups, the stuff that keeps CFOs on edge. We'll cover everything from unstable revenue streams to juggling growth and cash flow, and how to manage your burn when VC funds are drying up. Stick around as we break down the strategies you need to keep your startup financially stable and investor ready. Make sure to subscribe and follow so you never miss an episode. Let's dive right in.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving headfirst into the wild world of tech finance. And, well, let's be honest. Who better to navigate these waters with than all of you out there, our amazing CFOs and VPs of finance?
We know you're dealing with a whole new set of rules these days, so we're here to break down all the ins and outs, the complexities of financial planning in this constantly changing tech world.
Exactly. And just to be clear, we're not talking about balancing the books here. We want to get into the nitty-gritty, the really big picture financial stuff that keeps you guys up at night.
Yeah, we're talking about those unpredictable revenue streams, the pressure to grow when budgets are tight, and that ever-elusive profitability target that always seems just out of reach.
It's like trying to hit a moving target while riding a roller coaster, you know?
That's a great way to put it. And you know, one of the biggest reasons for this wild ride is that recurring revenue model that everyone loves.
Right.
On paper, it sounds amazing, right? Predictable income, steady growth. But in the real world, well, as I'm sure you know, it can be a little more unpredictable.
Unpredictable is putting it lightly. Every CFO I talk to seems to be struggling with the uncertainty of churn.
Oh, absolutely.
Even a tiny dip in customer retention can throw your whole financial forecast out the window.
It's true. And then on top of that, you've got the added complexity of usage-based pricing.
Right.
Which is great for aligning value and cost in theory, but it makes forecasting revenue more about predicting human behavior than ever before.
Which, as we all know, is about as predictable as, I don't know, the weather.
Exactly.
But let's shift gears for a second, talk about another huge pressure point for tech CFOs. Balancing growth with these increasingly tight budgets. You're expected to scale quickly, which usually requires a decent amount of, well, cash.
And that is the million-dollar question these days, isn't it? How do you balance the need for rapid growth with shrinking budgets and investors who are all about that long runway?
Yeah, it really does feel like you're constantly juggling chainsaws, trying to keep everything up in the air. You've got investors breathing down your neck, wanting to see those hockey stick growth curves.
Sure.
But at the same time, you need to be so careful with every dollar you spend.
Exactly. And this is where really understanding your company's strategic goals becomes so important. Every financial decision you make, every budget you look at it, all needs to tie back to those big picture objectives.
So it's not just about being a numbers whiz anymore. It's more about being a strategic partner to the CEO and the whole leadership team.
Absolutely. The modern CFO in tech needs to be able to connect the dots between the financial data and the decisions that are being made. You need to be able to see the numbers and say, okay, given our cash flow and our runway, this is what we can realistically achieve in terms of growth, and this is how we need to adjust our spending to make it happen.
And that probably means having some tough conversations sometimes, right? Like maybe that big flashy marketing campaign isn't the best move when you're trying to stretch your runway further.
Exactly. It's about being laser focused on what will really move the needle for growth and being willing to say no to things that might sound good on paper but don't actually fit into your overall strategy.
That makes me think about fundraising, which used to be like this safety net for tech companies, but it feels like the game has changed completely.
Oh, it definitely has. The days of raising huge rounds based on a fancy slide deck and promises are long gone.
So how do you navigate this new world? What are investors looking for now?
More than anything, they want to see a clearer path to profitability, or at the very least, a really solid plan to get there.
It's not just about growing for the sake of growing anymore. Investors want to see a business that can actually sustain itself. So you need to show them that you understand your unit economics, your customer acquisition costs, and that you have a plan to reach positive cash flow.
Exactly. And that requires a different way of thinking, moving away from growth no matter what to smart growth. It's about making those dollars work overtime, optimizing your burn rate, and building a company that can handle whatever comes its way.
And that's where managing cash flow meticulously becomes so crucial, right? It's not just another item on the CFO's to-do list. It's what keeps a tech company alive these days.
Absolutely. And it's not as simple as just slashing costs across the board. It's about being strategic with your resources, putting them towards those key growth drivers we talked about, while getting rid of anything that's wasteful or inefficient.
So basically, you got to be laser focused on what moves the needle and say no to those shiny distractions, no matter how tempting they might be.
Exactly. And that might lead to some tough conversations, challenging the way things have always been done and pushing back on initiatives that don't fit into this new world of financial responsibility.
It's about being a guardian of the company's finances, not just someone who crunches numbers.
Now you're getting it. The modern CFO in tech needs to be a strategic leader, a clear communicator, and yeah, a bit of a financial visionary. Someone who can steer the company through rough waters without losing sight of the long-term goals.
Someone who can see the forest for the trees, as they say.
Exactly. And maybe even spot some opportunities in the middle of all the chaos. Because here's the thing, even with funding being tighter, there's still plenty of chances for tech companies to thrive. It just takes a different approach, a more strategic mindset, and a deep understanding of what drives sustainable growth financially.
So to all you tech CFOs out there navigating this new world, don't shy away from the challenge. Keep your eyes on the prize and remember you got this. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive, and we'll catch you next time for more insights and analysis from the exciting world of tech finance.
That's it for today's episode. Please subscribe and follow to stay informed about our next episode drop. Next up, we will drop the secret of how Akia Obas from Netlify is revolutionizing GTM team building on the technical talent side. Think Salesforce admin, architects, data engineers, systems admins, and deals desk function by leveraging offshore talent. We'll unpack how Netlify leverages global talent to boost growth and slash costs. We'll discuss how Akia challenges common offshore hiring myths, revealing how these GTM experts often exceed expectations. Whether you're a startup founder or GTM veteran, don't miss Akia's insights on scaling teams efficiently and reshaping GTM strategies. Tune in and subscribe to stay ahead in today's competitive landscape.